everybody, it's me again, taking you down to Walmart with me today. I have already stopped at a couple places and I'm already sweaty, hot, bothered. It's going to be a scorcher again today. Tried to get James to come with me, but he's out in the garage working. I just have to get a few things, but I really don't have to go to Walmart, but I can get a better deal down there. But let me go. Okay. Everybody seemed like they liked my ghost story, and it really is true. I wouldn't lie to you for the world. But anyway, I have other ghost stories, but today I want to tell you a story about my grandfather on my mother's side. And I've told you guys before that he was a Pentecostal preacher. And I remember him. They used to have church meetings at his home. And he died when I was 6 years old, but I can remember him bald-headed. He had a little bit of gray in his hair, but mostly he was bald, real tall guy, an old farmer type, you know what I mean? And he had a bunch of kids and whatever, but he was a preacher, Pentecostal preacher. And I can remember him having church meetings. We'd go over there on the weekends, and he'd be having church meetings at his house, and I remember him on his knees praying and speaking in tongues, and I'm assuming that most of y'all know what that is. But anyway, this happened probably, we're going to get stuck in traffic. But anyway, this happened probably in the late 40s, maybe 1950. But I didn't know until just 2-3 years ago that my grandfather was a snake handler. Yeah, he was them kind of preachers. Oh goodness. But my mother's youngest brother, he was just a teenager. He was probably 15 or 16 years old. That's why I'm thinking that it was probably in the late 40s or 50s, early 50s, that he used to play the guitar. And my grandfather, we used to call him Pop. That's what we called him, Pop. He would go to different churches and preach. And my uncle has told me this story. And he told it to him about 2-3 years ago, or a little bit more. But he said that, these old-timey churches, wooden benches, and not a whole lot of benches in the church, a little tiny church. They used to keep the doors and windows open late at night, while the preacher when singing was going on and stuff. And well, apparently this was a snake handling church, and Pop was there with my Uncle Darrel, and they used to bring those snakes in boxes or cages or whatever. I really don't know. I've never been around that. Don't ever want to be around that. I don't believe that way. I don't believe that verse in the Bible is interpreted properly for people to pick up snakes or poison. But anyway, one of them, my papa was preaching, and my Uncle Darrel told me that he reached in that box or whatever it was and picked up a handful of snakes and was preaching, and he was up there with his guitar strumming, and he said one of them boxes or one of them cages got turned over. If you've ever been to a Pentecostal meeting, you'll know what I'm talking about. People get happy and jump and dance, and they get happy. But anyway, when those boxes got kicked over, knocked over, whatever, and snakes got loose in the church. And just as that happened, and my Uncle Darrel said there was a big old storm happening outside, and he said the power went out. or maybe the power went out and the snakes got loose. I really don't know, but whatever happened was the power went out all of a sudden because of the storm, and the snakes, either a snake or snakes got loose. And you know, back in the day, they didn't have street lights and where they, you know, they had lit parking lots. This was a low dirt parking lot with no outside lighting, you know, so it's probably up a holler. And so when the lights went out, it got dark. You couldn't see a thing. So my Uncle Darrel said when the lights went out, people started screaming, hitting the doors, jumping out windows. He said he couldn't see a thing, but he said he heard these old wooden pews being knocked over and people running and whatever. And I don't know, you know, he told me this is a true story. I don't see why my Uncle Darrel would lie to me, because I've got other stories about him. But he said, excuse me, he said when the power did come on, it was him and Pop. He was still there sitting on his stool with his guitar. Pop was still there with a Bible in one hand, snakes in the other. And he said the church had pews turned over, he said the doors were off the hinges and windows slung open. I mean, they were already open, but he said there wasn't a soul in that church but him and Pop. Him and Pop. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean, you know, there are churches still yet where I live that handle snakes. I am Pentecostal myself. I go to a Pentecostal in my church. I believe a lot of ways of the Pentecostal people. But I do not believe in handling snakes. I don't believe in picking up poison and testing God to see whether or not He will watch over you. I think that's wrong. Yeah, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed that story. It's not a ghost story, but it is sort of funny, you know. I can think back on it and just imagine, knowing the region I come from and how people are, what it was like. But anyway, this is Melissa. I'm reporting from in the car, out of the holler. Out of the holler, in the car. I hope y'all have a good week. Talk to you later. Bye.